You want to know why Earth's labeled a no-contact zone? Ha! That one's an old favorite. Captain Jorak Neal swirled his drink with a clawed hand, the glowing blue liquid catching reflections from the 3 moons beyond the viewport. Everybody knows that story? I leaned forward, my 4 eyelids blinking one after another. Actually, I don't. Just finished training at the academy last cycle, Jorak snorted, small clouds of vapor puffing from the ridges along his snout. They don't teach you fledglings anything that matters anymore, do they? Just cramming your skulls with quantum formulas and etiquette drills. No real-world grit. The cantina pulsed with life, voices and alien tongues overlapping in chaotic rhythm. In one corner, a group of Parlavians slammed cards with their tentacles, lost in some flashy gambling ritual. At the bar, 2 Zorgan cargo runners bickered over freight terms. Just another night at Outpost 88, the final speck of civilization before the dead zone. So, I said, are you going to tell the story or just rant about academia? Patience. Rookie. Some legends like to breathe. Jorak tossed back the last of his drink and motioned for another. What did you say your name was again? Taz Brill, Junior Science Officer. Well then, Taz Brill, Junior Science Officer. Ever laid eyes on a human? I shook my head. Of course not. Earth's been sealed for 42 standard cycles. I have. Jorak tapped his chest just above a frayed patch. The worn insignia of the Galactic Exploration Corps still lingered on his uniform like a faded scar. Boom. Before the lockdown, I was on the final approved contact mission. My mouth fell open. You were there. You saw it happen? Better. His voice dropped, quiet and reverent. I met her. Her? You mean Amanda Patel? He said the name like it carried both a blessing and a curse, half fear, half awe. The human responsible for sealing Earth behind a forever wall of galactic isolation. I could barely believe it. Most officers retired without ever speaking to someone who'd had first-hand exposure to the Earth anomaly. What was she like? I asked, trying not to sound too desperate. Totally unremarkable. At first, Jorak's next drink arrived. He took a measured sip, like he was in some quiet ritual. That's what made her so disturbing. She looked like any other human. 2 eyes, wild hair on her head, fragile limbs, about yay tall. He raised his hand to a point near the middle of his chest, but she carried this gravity. Like she was in on a joke the universe didn't want to explain. Jorak's gaze drifted, far away and deep. I should begin at the top. He sank back into his seat. I leaned in, every nerve alert. This could be the story that launched my career. It was Earth's year 2378. At the time, the planet was low risk, low interest, routine, observation. The humans had just mastered orbital launches. No hyperspace tech, no dimensional signatures. Protocol was simple. Monitor, log, and sometimes collect biological data. Specimens? You mean abductions? I raised a brow ridge. Jorak waved the accusation away. Clinical term, temporary biological. Evaluation. Completely harmless. We returned them with almost no residual memory. Just protocol. Except Amanda Patel, I'm assuming. Exactly. She was chosen completely at random. Nothing remarkable about her. 32 Earth years. Worked in quantum. Code development, lived alone with some low-level domestic creature. So what went wrong? Jorak leaned in, voice hushed. Nothing did go wrong with the retrieval. That's what made it so disturbing. The team took her during sleep. Routine procedure, standard bioscan, standard memory suppression. Everything normal. They were moments away from returning her. When? He let the silence linger. When what? I asked, completely drawn in. When she woke up, in the middle of the op? I scowled. That's not possible. The sedation systems didn't work on her, not at all. No reason. One moment she was out cold on the med table, next she was sitting up, scanning the room, fully alert. Jorak rubbed his forehead. You should have seen the footage. 4 medical staff, all paralyzed. What did she do? Nothing aggressive if that's what you're imagining. And that was the unnerving part. She simply looked at them, examined the instruments, and said, "I assume this is data collection. Mind if I ask a few things while we're here?" She wasn't scared. I tried to picture it. Waking up to strange beings, calmly engaging. I couldn't. That's what Commander Val asked her. And you know her response? Jorak pitched his voice, higher in a strange human impression. "Oh, I've expected this for years. Honestly, it's a relief to know you're real. Do you know how many people think I'm insane?" She knew. Not just that we existed. She had theories, real ones, about propulsion, about xenobiology, even our interstellar political systems. Some ideas were off base, but uncomfortably many were accurate. I just stared. How? Earth wasn't anywhere near advanced enough for that kind of knowledge. That's exactly what Commander Val wanted to know. So instead of returning her immediately, they decided to talk to her. Huge protocol violation, but Valix was curious. That was his first mistake. Joro's expression darkened, and he took another long sip of his drink. Amanda started asking questions, complex ones, about quantum entanglement applications in FTL communication, about consciousness transfer technology, about the Galactic Council's position on emerging intelligences. And the thing is, she wasn't just asking. She was testing theories, her own theories, and they answered her. I was shocked. This violated every first contact protocol in the book. Well, not intentionally. But you know how scientists get when someone asks the right questions. They can't help themselves. Before long, they were having a full technical discussion. Commander Val even called in specialists from other departments. That's unprecedented. It gets worse. Someone made a joke about how advanced her thinking was compared to other humans. And she just smiled and said, "Oh, I'm not special. There are millions like me on Earth. We just don't advertise it." Ackle ran down my spine. Was she telling the truth? Joro shrugged. No one knew, but it spooked them enough that they decided to bring her to Central Command for further assessment. Another massive protocol breach. They took a primitive species, off-world. Without authorization, Valix got emergency clearance, claimed it was a matter of galactic security. By then, word had spread. Everyone wanted to meet this human who had woken up during examination and started discussing theoretical physics. The cantina had grown quieter around us, and I realized several nearby patrons were listening to Jorax's story. No one was even pretending, not to eavesdrop. So they brought her to Central Command. I prompted right to the Grand Hall. The full council was there. Representatives from all 27 advanced species, scientists, military leaders, diplomats. You all to see this one unremarkable-looking human. What happened? What happened? Amanda walked in like she owned the place. Nodded to the council members, said, "Thanks for having me. Nice place you have got here." Urak shook his head with the casualness of it like she was at some Earth social gathering. "Were you there?" I asked. "Front row. I was Valix's second in confronting the Galactic Council Command back then. Had a perfect view of everything." "So what did she say to the council?" Jorak's expression turned grave. First, she thanked them for confirming what she already knew about extraterrestrial civilizations. Then she said she had a message from Earth. An official message, but Earth governments didn't know about alien life. Not official, personal, she said. I represent only myself, but I believe I speak for many humans when I say this. Jorak paused to finish his drink, clearly enjoying the suspense, and I was practically hovering over the table now. She said, "We know you have been watching us. We know you have been taking us. Some of us remember despite your methods. We have been gathering data, comparing notes, building our understanding, and we have come to a conclusion which was, you are not as advanced as you think you are." I blinked all 4 eyes simultaneously. She insulted the Galactic Council. It gets better. She pulled out a small device from her pocket. Everyone panicked, thinking it was a weapon. Security moved in, but she just held up her hand and said, "I relax. If I wanted to harm you, you wouldn't see it coming." "By the great void," I whispered. She threatened them, too. The device was just some primitive data storage. She asked to connect it to our systems, said she had something to show us, and they let her. This story was becoming more unbelievable by the minute, after scanning it for weapons or viruses. Yes. And that's when things got really interesting. Jorak glanced around, then lowered his voice even further. The data contained equations, theoretical models, things that our scientists had been working on for decades without success. But her models, they worked. Preliminary tests confirmed it immediately. What kind of equations? The kind that could advance weapons technology by centuries, or the kind that could destabilize the entire galactic power structure? I sat back stunned. One human figured all that out without access to our technology. That's what made it so terrifying. She claimed it was just a hobby she worked on in her spare time. Said, and I quote, "Imagine what we could do if we actually tried." Was she offering cooperation or making a threat? That's exactly what Council Leader Dre asked her. "You know what?" she said. Jorak looked around again, then leaned in. "Either I'm giving you a choice. Either recognize Earth as an equal and establish formal diplomatic relations, or leave us completely alone. No more observations, no more abductions, no more interference of any kind. An ultimatum from a preftal species delivered with a smile, no less." Then she dropped the real bombshell. Said this data was all ready. "Try to contact us." Jorax's expression was grim. "Kid, I have spent the last 4 decades hoping they don't, because if Amanda Patel was any indication of what humans are capable of..." He trailed off, looking out at the stars visible through the viewport. Somewhere out there, invisible from this distance, was a small blue planet that had scared the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy into hiding. "They wouldn't just contact us," he whispered. "They'd change everything." A sudden commotion at the cantina entrance broke the tension. A communications officer burst in looking frantic. "Captain Neal," she called out, spotting Jorak. "Emergency. Recall. All ships. Command Priority Alpha." Jorak stood immediately. Suddenly, "All business. What's happening?" The officer's voice shook slightly. Long-range sensors detected something at the edge of the quarantine zone, an unidentified vessel. "It's broadcasting a message." "What message?" Euro demanded, but I already knew. Somehow I already knew. The officer's forearms trembled as she held up a data pad. "Just 2 words, Captain. 2 words, repeating on all frequencies on the screen in simple text translated from an Earth language, were the words, 'Remember me.'" The canteen erupted into chaos. A species from across the galaxy scrambled toward exits. Comms units buzzed with urgent transmissions, and the universal translator struggled to keep up with the polyglot panic. "Move, move, move." "Jorak, the message returns." "Remember me?" barked. Suddenly the captain again, rather than the nostalgic storyteller I'd been drinking with minutes earlier, he grabbed my arm. "You are with me, junior officer. Consider yourself temporarily reassigned." I stumbled after him past panicking Zorgans and a group of Parlavians whose gambling cards now scattered across the floor, forgotten in their haste to flee. "Captain, I don't understand what's happening." "What's happening is exactly what I have feared for 42 cycles." Yoro growled, pulling me through the spaceport corridors. "The quarantine has been breached." We sprinted toward the command deck of Outpost 88. Around us, the station's alert system blared, its pulsing red lights turning the metallic hallways into tunnels of blood. "But a single ship," I protested, trying to keep up with Jorax's longer strides. "How is that cause for station-wide panic?" Jorak stopped so abruptly I nearly crashed into him. His 4 eyes narrowed to slits. "Think, junior officer. What did I just spend the last hour telling you? One human one scared the entire Galactic Council into quarantining Earth. And now, they are here broadcasting, 'Remember me.' Does that sound like a friendly house call to you?" The pieces clicked together in my mind. You think it's Amanda Patel or someone connected to her? Either way, it's bad news." He resumed his hurried pace. The quarantine was supposed to be impenetrable. We have sensor arrays covering light years of space around their system. How did they get a ship past our defenses without detection until now? We reached the command deck where organized chaos reigned. Officers from various species hunched over, consoles shouting readings and recommendations. Above them, a massive holographic display showed the quarantine zone, a spherical region of space centered on cell system, and at its edge, a single, blinking light. Admiral Voxarn, the station commander, stood at the center of the storm, a tall, imposing Navarin with scaled skin that shifted colors with her mood currently a deep, alarming purple. "Neil!" "About time," she barked when she spotted us. "Who's this?" "Junior Science Officer Taz Brilled Admiral. He has relevant background knowledge." The Admiral didn't question. This lie just nodded curtly. "We need all the help we can get. The situation is deteriorating rapidly." "How so?" She gestured to the holographic display. The unidentified vessel appeared 43 minutes ago, seemingly out of nowhere. Our sensors didn't detect any warp signature, no FTL distortion, nothing. It just appeared. "Impossible," I said before I could stop myself. The Admiral glared at me. "Apparently not. Since arrival, it's been broadcasting that message. Remember me? On all frequencies. We have tried responding, but it doesn't acknowledge communications. Just the message, nothing else," Urak asked. "Until 8 minutes ago, yes. Admiral Tarn manipulated the display, zooming in on the vessel. Then this happened. The image sharpened, revealing a sleek, dark ship unlike any design I'd seen before. No visible propulsion systems, no external sensors, just smooth curves that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. As we watched, a section of the hull rippled and opened. Something launched from within small objects, dozens of them accelerating away from the ship in all directions. "What are those?" I asked. "Alone, but they are fast." The Admiral's scales darkened further, and they are heading toward every major system in this sector. Jorax swore colorfully. "Probes, weapons." "Unknown," the Admiral repeated, sounding frustrated. But 14 minutes after launch, the first one reached Proxima Station. 3 minutes' journey to the meeting point later, Proxima sent this. She pulled up a new display. The footage showed Asmal spherical object no bigger than my fist floating in what appeared to be a containment field. As we watched, Thesphere's surface shifted, revealing something like a lens. A beam of light projected from it, forming a holographic image. Amanda Patel. Even having never seen a human before, I recognized her immediately from Jorak's description. The same calm confidence, the same slight smile. She looked exactly as she had 42 cycles ago, which should have been impossible for such a short-lived species. The hologram spoke. "Hello again. For those who remember me, it's been a while. For those who don't, my name is Amanda Patel. 42 of your standard cycles ago, I had an unexpected meeting with your Galactic Council. I made a simple request then. Either treat us as equals or leave us alone. You chose isolation." She paused, her expression unreadable. "We respected your choice. We stayed within our quarantine zone. We watched. We learned. We grew. And now we are ready for a conversation about the future." Admiral Tarn froze the playback. It continues for another 3 minutes. She proposes a meeting representatives from Earth and the Galactic Council at neutral. Coordinates she provides. "It's a trap," someone said immediately. Perhaps the Admiral agreed, but the Council is taking it seriously. They have called an emergency session. "All available military vessels are being mobilized for one ship," I asked. "That's just it," Jorak said grimly. "This isn't just one ship. Reports are coming in from across the galaxy. Similar vessels appearing at the edges of major systems, all broadcasting the same message." My exoskeleton felt suddenly cold. "How many?" 273, at last count," Admiral Tarn said. A fleet that size shouldn't be possible for a preftal civilization that's been isolated for 4 decades, unless they were never as primitive as we thought, Jorak muttered. The Admiral turned to him. Your report on the Patel incident is suddenly the most read document in the galactic database, Captain. Everyone wants to understand what we are facing. You met her. What's your assessment? Jorak stared at the frozen image of Amanda Patel. If she wanted war, Admiral, we'd already be fighting it. This is something else. The Council has authorized a response team, Admiral Tarn said. You are on it, Captain. Your first-hand experience makes you invaluable. Departure in 30 minutes. Jorak nodded, then glanced at me. I want Junior Officer Brill as well. Fresh perspective, no preconceptions. The Admiral looked me over doubtfully, but nodded. Granted, both of you get tow docking bay 4. The Relentless is waiting. As we hurried through the corridors again, I found my voice. Captain, I don't understand. Why me? Because you listened, Jorak said simply. You didn't dismiss the story as exaggeration. You understood the implications. And right now, we need people who can think past their fear. I'm afraid, I admitted. Good. Fear keeps you alert. Just don't. Let it keep you from thinking. The Relentless was the flagship of the Galactic Defense Fleet, a massive vessel capable of housing representatives from all 27 Council species. By the time we boarded, it was already filling with diplomats, scientists, and military personnel from across the galaxy. The ship broke orbit within the hour, heading toward the coordinates provided by Amanda Patel, a supposedly neutral location, deep in uncharted space. I spent most of the journey in briefings absorbing everything known about humans, Earth, and Amanda Patel specifically, which wasn't much given the strict quarantine of the past 42 cycles. Long-range observations suggested significant technological advancement, but the details were frustratingly vague. 3 days later, we arrived at the designated coordinates, face to face. After 42 cycles, to everyone's surprise, there was already something waiting for us. A massive space station that hadn't been there when the area was last surveyed. Scan complete, the sensor officer reported. The station appears to be growing. Joro leaned forward. Explain. Its structure is incorporating ambient matter, the dust, gas, micrometeorites. It's self-assembling. A collective murmur ran through the command deck. Self-assembling technology was theoretical at best for most Council species. Life signs. Admiral Ervik, the mission commander demanded. Just one, sir. Human. Of course it was. Of course she would come alone. The Council representatives debated for hours about how to proceed. Some wanted to send an unmanned probe. Others insisted on bringing Amanda Patel aboard the Relentless. In the end, a compromise was reached. Asmal delegation would board the station. Jorak was selected to lead it, and somehow I was included. Stay close to me, Jorak instructed as our shuttle approached the station. Say nothing unless directly addressed. Observe everything. The station received us in a large circular chamber.